Okay, it's exciting to be here. My name is Benjamin Halston, and I work at Eviny as a business developer. I just want to remind you guys what Eviny is. We are the biggest energy company in the western region of Norway, and we do all these wonderful things: hydropower, wind and solar. We have a grid company called BKK, and we are in thermal energy, and we are investing huge amounts of resources into electrification, and we also do some communication stuff. I am a part of the innovation team, so we are working with the stuff we're not currently doing yet. And the theme for today's talk is batteries and why they are very useful and can help us do the green shift and beyond. So I want to take you guys through a little journey here. And begin with answering the question, why do we need to act now? And from my perspective, as a simple business developer, and the things I've learned these past few years, we see that an increasingly volatile energy system needs more flexibility and energy storage. And the main reason for this is that we are, we are introducing a lot of wind and solar, and we are also electrifying our society. And we're phasing out stable nuclear power and coal power. We are also reducing the amount of flexible fossil turbines and generators. And all these things are making the energy system more volatile and unstable. And as a consequence, the reserve markets, the balancing markets, have experienced higher prices and higher demand in a lot of European countries. And we also see more volatile energy and power prices, which is making arbitrage and frequency regulation more profitable. And batteries is one of the most effective and profitable solutions, and is actually helping drive the green shift further, which is a good thing. So as we see here, we can actually close the loop and help with these huge problems. So just a reminder, the biggest driver for need for flexibility is the introduction of wind and solar. We are becoming more and more dependent on a changing weather system. When we phase out coal and stable, what can we say, brown energy, we are exposed in a much more uncertain and volatile way. And here are some examples to why we need to act. We have a lot of extreme weather events, and they are increasing over time with climate change. Take for instance Hans, that happened last year and flooded large parts of Norway. These kinds of events sets our physical electrical infrastructure at risk, and we need to think differently on how we build. We also see that when we are increasingly dependent on solar power, cloud covers have a dramatic effect on energy productions, and we had actually some events in Denmark last year where cloud covers really altered the frequency of the grid on some days, which was interesting. But of course, energy flexibility is a part of the solutions, and we have actually some good examples of deployable solutions. For instance, we have Tibber, the huge Norwegian digital electricity company that have kind of started delivering services outside of electricity and done some really cool things with flexible charging, really utilizing the power of controllable infrastructure and being able to respond to external factors is exactly what we need more of now. And we also have a pretty cool example there, a utility scale power plant in California, where 400 megawatt, 1,600 megawatt hour batteries are set up to make up for the loss of production when there's cloudy weather in California, which is pretty cool. But we have actually, we do have a pretty huge challenge on our hands, because in the coming years, in the coming decades, the flexibility requirement, the need for flexibility is going to increase by 700%. And by 2050, almost all the electricity used in Europe will have to be flexible energy, which is pretty scary when you think about it. So, with that in mind, how are batteries relevant? Well, batteries are perfect for short-term flexibility. So there are lots of technologies that can deliver flexibility, but in the short-term category, from 0 to 24 hours, batteries are perfect. And when we look at the short-term flexibility need, it is actually going to be pretty huge in some countries in the coming years. And batteries are going to be a really important part of that, fixing that problem. So, of course, in Norway, we have a lot of hydropower, and that is great. Hydropower is a dream when it comes to the green shift. We can regulate the water flow pretty amazingly almost all year around. But of course, hydropower and the flexible capacity will be kind of used to its boundaries in the coming years. So we need more and different technologies to supply the flexibility need. And why? And here are some other good reasons why we should care about batteries. First of all, battery technology is now really deployable and movable, and this is a really important part of it, because in the coming years we need more power, and we need it distributed strategically around Europe, and container solutions, as you see on the picture on the left here, and other types of more movable infrastructure will help alleviate these local and distributed problems, because you can effectively put batteries up where it's needed within a few months. And another good reason to care about batteries is the ability to control them with high accuracy and actually aggregate several batteries to target grid needs with precision. And the fact that they're not weather dependent, it is also really important. And fast activation below 1 second is also a huge advantage. I will come back to why later, but having a resource that is both a consumer and a producer, and having that replicable response is also very, very useful. And when we look at batteries in combination with renewables, we see great value in boosting profitability and supporting the grid. So I would say that solar power and batteries combined is a love story. And we should really root for the coexistence of those two technologies. But one of the biggest values that we've seen in the north of Europe these past few years, especially in Sweden and UK and Netherlands, is the frequency regulation possibility we can do with batteries. And what is becoming more and more common is implementing frequency regulation markets where actors can deliver power at frequency signals. So when there are disruptions in the grid, the batteries can help and bring the grid back to a stable operational place again. And this is becoming more and more needed. But of course, there are huge challenges when we are facing when we're integrating batteries into the energy systems. These products are high emission products. There is a lot of energy going into making them and building them. And there is also a pretty low value chain transparency. It's hard to understand what are the suppliers, how do they work, how are the social or the working conditions, and all of these things. There are safety concerns also when integrating batteries into the energy system. There are already a few instances of market manipulation with these energy resources. Of course, there's that long-term access to materials for building. We know that the Chinese own a huge part of the material and the mines for materials that is used in batteries, and for the European region, this might be a problem long term. When we are using batteries on a large scale, it's also pretty difficult because many places in Norway and in Europe, the grid is already at capacity. So acquiring sufficient grid connection with bidirectional connection is also getting increasingly difficult. And there is a need for better and better energy management system to optimize how we use these resources. And because there are so many different grid codes, and there are so many different grid companies with different regulations, this is also a problem when you're trying to scale. So, what kind of projects can accelerate the green shifts? I want to talk a little bit about the stuff that makes me excited about the future and how we can do profitable, sustainable projects that really help. So when we have looked at different projects and different ways to help the energy system, what is really difficult is creating a sustainable business model. And if we're going to do it at scale, we have to actually solve persistent energy problems. And one way of tackling that problem is to look at the battery as an energy platform. So you can deliver different services, both enabling services and value generating services. And you can deliver them locally, and you can also deliver them to the grid. But to be able to do this, you have to have integrated projects where you are either connected to some real estate industry, you are connected to large parks of renewables, you are connected to electrification or other types of big scale infrastructure. So what we've tried to do is to figure out a way to get our hands on these types of projects. And now, recently, we've had some success, and we have to kind of think holistically when we do these projects. And one good example is this project we've done with BIR Bedrift, which is a Norwegian waste management company. They are currently electrifying their fleet of trucks, and they are building 850 kilowatt peak of solar on their roofs. And what we want to do is to help them utilize the renewable energy they produce, and we also want to help the grid locally, and by introducing a battery, we can do both, and we can also try to peak shave their charging sessions and reduce their grid tariffs. This is a really exciting project because, first of all, we are helping a pretty emission-filled industry getting greener. But we're also enabling them to do this at a lower energy price and basically pushing them in the right direction. So I'm really excited about this project. We're also working with our fast charging team. Avenue Fast Charging is deploying chargers in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and soon Germany. And in different places, the grid has different capabilities, and what we want to do is to figure out where can batteries alleviate some problems. And in certain places, where the grid tariffs are structured weirdly, batteries can reduce grid tariffs, and also in some countries and some regions the energy price is varying, and that can be leveraged. We can also deliver ancillary services to the DSO or the TSO. And a very common thing lately is that the grid companies want more control, so they are implementing platforms where they are basically saying their customer, we need to be able to disconnect you from the grid in high demand periods. And batteries can help in those situations to kind of supply power and provide an uninterrupted continuous charging experience for the customers. So that's pretty cool. And in some situation as well, if the grid is at capacity and there is no more power to be provided from the grid company, batteries could be helpful to future-proof the stations. So when there is a surge in demand and more customer is charging at the station, then the battery can supply power. Yes, and these kinds of projects are really pushing it forward. I should have planned a strong finish on this presentation, but I'm actually done now, so we can maybe just jump to the questions if there are any.
Thank you very much